just seeing them grow from the start, confidence growing and their techniques improving, we'd never ever take them somewhere else because he is just perfect.
I have 2 girls at AFAC and we've been coming since it started at the beginning of 2019. They feel safe and I think they feel encouraged as well.
I like my teachers and they always encourage me when I need encouraging and they make it really fun for me and the rest of my class. I feel very proud and happy and excited to meet my new teacher.
Noah finds motor planning and things like that difficult. You know, he tends to get that same teacher, so they definitely know what works for Noah, what to kind of keep going with, how we can kind of achieve the next thing. So it's really quite consistent and valuable.
It's really good, nice quality time spent with the grandies, and it's a great centre for families as well. She may have got a lot older, but never miss out on the green jelly after the swimming lesson. So that's always a given.
I wouldn't be driving 25 minutes past 2 swim schools to come if I didn't enjoy it.
The kids just enjoy too much here and love all the teachers, so why move them somewhere else?
That live streaming will commence shortly. Standing for Her Worship, Mayor Ruth Butterfield.
Welcome everybody. I would like to begin the meeting by by acknowledging that we meet on Whadjuk Noongar country, and I would like to pay my respects to the traditional custodians of the land, and they are the Noongar people, and I'd like to acknowledge that they have been looking after the land for a very long time, and I thank them for that. Okay, we'll begin the meeting, start the meeting at 1 minute past 7. So I declare the meeting open at 1 minute past 7. And let's go through the record of attendance. Is my microphone working all right? Yep. Okay. We do have a leave of absence previously granted to Councillor Stoneham. However, Councillor Stoneham has performed a miracle and she is here tonight. So thank you for coming back a little bit early and being with us here tonight. We do have an apology from Councillor Willinga, and thank you to all of the other councillors for being here tonight, and of course our executive directors and our CEO. Advice of response to previous public questions taken on notice. We don't have any. Public question time. We do have 15 minutes allocated for public questions. If you do have a question, if you could give, let me see, what are we doing now? Name? No name? Name and suburb. If you could step forward to the microphone if you have a question and give your name and your suburb, please.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Pranish Gowda. I'm from Civil Grove.
And now your question?
Our concern today is about relocating the taxi rank from currently situated in Commerce Avenue to the new train station. On behalf of the taxi drivers and the community and the taxi users, I just want to present a petition and request the Honourable Mayor and the councillors here to reconsider relocating the taxi rank from Commerce Avenue, where it's currently located, to I'll just read out briefly. The taxi rank has been operated for decades and has become a central and essential transport point for the. It is widely recognized by the residents, businesses, commuters and the visitors as a main taxi pickup location, servicing Armadale train station, Armadale shopping city, local medical centres, cafes, businesses and surrounding facilities. The removal of this rank has caused major inconvenience, confusion and hardship within the community.
Can I just stop
sure.
for a moment? Stop you there and sorry, we're just going on with the microphones.
Okay.
So you've got a question about the removal and request to put the taxi rank back where it was?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Presentation tonight. So if you would like to present the petition, that's fine, and the councillor can take that petition from you, and we can add it into our petitions for tonight.
Lovely. That'll be great.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions at all?
There's no questions, but our main concern is because it's in the right location at the moment. It is visible and it's been used for I don't know how many decades. If we move it to a new location up in the train station, it's not visible and there's only 2 spots there. So people have to travel a lot more distance to go inside the train station with prams, with shopping trolleys. This is our main concern. It's a main inconvenience, not just for the taxi drivers, it's for the community as well.
Yep. Okay, great.
So,
thank you.
very much.
We will present that petition tonight and, okay, thank you. Okay, can I ask if anybody else has any questions tonight? Yep.
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, all? But like I'm pension, and I'm on the stage 4 of about cancer and all, and good to me. And all I want to say, if you could please think in your hearts, so help me, not just me, other people that work with me. I appreciate it, Take it in the heart and give these blokes a go. Thank you very much. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have any other questions from the gallery? If there's no more questions, thank you everyone for coming, and we will present your petition and at that point in the agenda. But I will close public question time now then. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right, now that microphone is off, I think that mine perhaps will behave itself, I'm not sure. Thank you, councillors. Applications for leave of absence, I don't have any with me, so we'll go that nil. Petitions, now we do have a petition for presentation.
I just happen to have one of those, Madam Mayor. So the petition is, as you've heard, to reconsider moving the taxi rank from the current location on Commerce Avenue to the new train station. We are presenting some concerns from the community and taxi drivers. So,
thank you very much.
I'm not sure if it's complying or not, but I will pass it on.
Thank you. Are there any further petitions for presentation tonight? If not, we'll move on to confirmation of minutes. Could I have someone move confirmation of the minutes of the last council meeting? Thank you. Councillor Sargison has moved. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. Announcements by the person presiding. Oh, that's me. I'll just quickly note a couple of things out of my items here. Just to note that we did have the Honourable Jason Clare, Minister for Education, come and visit the hub, University Study Hub, and he was very complimentary about the efforts that our staff and the contribution that council itself has made towards getting that facility up and running. He did say that the creche was a great point of difference, and he was really looking forward to seeing the numbers of people that came through the creche. He did speak to several students on the day, and they were very effusive in their praise of and their use of the facility, and they particularly liked the fact that it was close to their homes and they could get away from noise outside of their home life to come and study rather than travel into UWA or to wherever they were studying. So they said all the right things, and yeah, it was really wonderful. The other thing just to note is that I attended the badminton finals for Yonex, and strangely the badminton courts were, well, I guess not strangely, but it was the first time I'd been there, in Forestdale Business Park, and it was just a tilt-up building, and there was obviously a business case to be made for private badminton courts because of the popularity of the sport, and so that was, it seemed to be going great, really well. It was very well attended, and beautiful courts with special lights that made it like daylight. Thank you, CEO. So inside of this private complex, there were multiple courts and many players, and this was a really big championship matches that were on, and they'd been there all week and from across Australia, and were holding the finals at this facility. So one that I didn't even know about, but one that's operating out of the Forestdale Business Park. Well, there is really something going on with our speakers tonight. Isn't it? It's terrible. Okay, we'll move on to Development Services. So if we can go to the agenda, is the Deputy Chair prepared to move the receipt of the minutes?
Yes, sorry. Receipt of the minutes of Development Services Committee held on Monday, 18th of May, subject to any corrections, of which I have none.
Thank you, and I'm glad it's not just my microphone, yours is doing the same thing. So it's going to be very interesting for our viewers online because every second word is blanked out. Thank you for that. Is there anyone opposed to receiving those minutes? Thank you, that's carried. Page 8, 1.1, proposed Roldy Bush Care Storage Facility at Lena Hart Memorial Reserve, Community Engagement Plan. With the recommendation coming on page 11. Chair, there's only one item in that report. Would you like to move that item, please?
Yes, please. So moved.
Thank you. That item is moved. Is there anyone opposed? If no one's opposed, thank you. That's carried. That takes us now to the Corporate Services Committee held on the 19th of May. Will that work better? Okay, it's on. Okay, let me see now. Is that better? It is. Oh, brilliant. Okay. So we'll push that aside. We've got Corporate Services Committee meeting held on the 19th of May. Is Chair prepared to move receipt of those minutes?
Yes, I would like to move receipt of the Corporate Services Committee meeting held on Tuesday, 19th of May, subject to any corrections, of which I have none.
Thank you very much. Chair has moved receipt of those minutes. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. We'll go through to page 17, 1.1, list of accounts paid, March 2026. And the recommendation on page 19. Page 20, 1.2, statement of financial activity for March 2026, with the recommendation coming on page 25. Chair, are you prepared to move this item?
Yes, I would like to move that as written there, please.
Thank you. Chair has moved the item. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. And we have achieved an absolute majority as required. Page 26, 1.3, adoption of value for reporting of material variances for 2026-27. And the recommendation coming on page 31 and 32. Takes us to page 33, where we've got 1.4, Perth Hills Visitor Centre Membership Model Review, with the recommendation coming on page 36. Page 37, 2.1, Ward and Representation Review. Councillor Peter, you're on your feet.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move an amendment to the current recommendation. The recommendation I would like to move it is option 2, undertake a statutory review now. The reason I am moving this amendment, Madam Mayor, the last statutory review was done in 2020. And now it's already 6 years now. And as per the legislation, we need to do only in 10 years' time. I agree that point. But considering the growth of the city and recent local amendment, I think it is better to do the review now. If you're looking on the history of the statutory review, we have done the review in 2013 and 17. That means within 3 to 4 years' time, we continuously doing the review. But last 6 years, we haven't done any review. I think it is the better opportunity to review the ward boundary system, number of councillors and everything. It is a better opportunity. I think it's a better option to review before the election. That's an option. I am moving this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peter. Do I have anyone opposed? Is there anyone opposed? Councillor Keogh, you're opposed. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Silva, would you like to speak?
I just wanted to hear the debate, as a few of us weren't there the other night, and just wanted to see what everybody's thoughts were.
Thank you very much. Councillor Silva. Councillor Keogh, would you like to speak?
No. Oh, now it's working. Look, I really don't feel strongly one way or the other, but I do note that we're still under the parameters of when we need to have a statutory review. Should we have it further on down the road? I do recognise there would be some concerns among ratepayers to ensure equity among the voters, but I also then recognise that should we do it now, there'll still be some unequal distribution in 2 years' time when we then do it. So I'm happy probably to leave it as is rather than anything, but I'm not wedded massively one way or the other.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Is there anyone to speak for the item, for the change? Councillor Newman.
I will speak for this, and hopefully this will work. So I will speak for this item because I do think that we need to undertake a statutory review. We do need to do this before 2029 anyway, so I think it's timely that we start to address some of these wards that have been oversubscribed. We talk about equity. Some of these wards are growing outside of the parameters that we're supposed to be maintaining them within. Many of us also know that the Minister for Local Government has expressed her desire to undertake a complete dismissal of every local government next year. So, in that vein, it would be wise for us to consider a statutory review, given that we could also assess whether there will be an opportunity to decrease the number of councillors under a new ward model. This is something that we should look at. There's an opportunity coming up with this complete dismissal, potential complete dismissal, to realign the wards, to undertake community consultation, to speak to them about equity, and to ensure that we are smarter and more aligned with the local government's the local government minister's expectations, and that we are complying with the regulations. It's also a great opportunity for us to decrease costs. Costs is another matter that we can also consider in a statutory review. So please support the review and adopt motion 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Newman. Is there anyone to speak against the change to the motion? Councillor Mosey.
Yeah, I would like to speak against, completely understanding the views of those councillors asking to change to option 2. I just think, it's a relatively expensive exercise. Legislatively, we don't have to do it. We don't need to be acting on something that the Minister is sort of just floating, but not any commitment that that change is actually going to be coming. If it does, then we can worry about it kind of then. So I think that, and given the variations we're talking about are very minor, they're only just outside the parameters. As I say, I would think that sticking with the original recommendation of the committee is the better option.
Thank you, Councillor Mosey. Anyone to speak for the motion? Anyone to speak against? Councillor Peter, would you like to wrap up?
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, I think the first point is talking about is the expense for the statutory review. In our corporate business plan, we allocate $50,000 for the statutory review of the ward boundary system when we did in 2025. So it is not a costly expense. It is a budget for $50,000, and we can do within that boundary. And also, Madam Mayor, if you're looking on the representation of each ward, as per the local government advisory board, their parameter is the number of representation within the limit of 10%. But as per the report, in 2027, few wards are out of 10%. That is, in Ranford ward is 12%, and Lake ward it is 13%. That is actually above the local government advisory board limit. I'm aware that is not a statutory board, but that is their formula they provided. And that means some area is overrepresented and some area is not represented. And if you're looking on the report, you can see, as per the current report, as per April 2026, the lowest representation is Lake ward by 4,400 people per councillor. But if you're looking on the River ward, sorry, it is the other way. In River ward is 4,400 and the Lake ward is 5,351. That means that if you look comparing both difference, there's a 21% difference between the highest representation and lowest representation. So that is a huge difference. So we need to address that issue. We always trying to put close to zero, but now it's above 12%, 13%, and also that's based on the current report. And if you're looking on the ID report, it is the total number of population is totally different. It's nearly 14 or 15% difference. Not 14, it's 14.4% different. That is the total population difference. So I think it is better to consider, we have allocated budget now, and we have the resources, and we have to do the study review now. So I think this is a time before 2027 election, we can finalize how many councillors we need and what system of popular elected councillors as the mayor. So we can review all those options. So I request all the councillors to support my amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peter. I was going to say something, but I've missed my opportunity. Thank you very much, councillors. I will put it to the vote. All those in favour of Councillor Peter's motion to go with the different, what was it? Which one? Option 2. To undertake the review now. All those in favour, hands up, please. All those against? And motion is lost. Can I have a mover for the motion, the original motion, please? Councillor Jorgensen. Thank you. Anyone opposed? No one. Councillor Silva, you're opposed. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Mosey. Councillor Jorgensen, would you like to speak? Councillor Mosey. No further comments. Councillor Silva. Thank you. I'll put to the vote then. Thank you. All those in favour? All those against? Okay, thank you. That motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. We move now to page 45 and 2.2, new policy, advertising content on the city-owned and or managed property, with the recommendation coming on page 50. Page 51, 3.1, councillor training costs. And the recommendation is on the bottom of page 51. Page 52, 3.2, Wagga Training, CEO Performance Review. And the recommendation comes on page 53. 3.3, rates exemption application, land used exclusively for charitable purposes, and that's under a confidential report. So does anyone need to refer to that confidential report? If not, I'll ask the Chair to move all those items which have not already been dealt with.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Chair has moved. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. That takes us through to the CEO Chief Executive Officer's report of the 25th of May 2026. And could I ask that someone move a receipt of that report? Councillor Peter, thank you very much. We have... Oh, sorry. Is there anyone opposed? No one opposed. Thank you. That's carried. On page 58, we have 1.1, Notice of Intention to impose differential rates for 26-27. Sorry, Councillor Busby.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to move that motion as it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Busby has moved the motion, which appears on page 72. Councillor Peter, I had you second.
I'm opposing.
You're opposing. Thank you. Is there anyone to second that?
Just a question. This item is come as a CEO's report, and the council is not having an opportunity to discuss this matter. And I think it is not a...
Sorry, I'll just say that if that was a question, we have had a mover, so I'm happy to take a question.
Yes, I have a question then. On page 61, on July 2026, the rate is we put 92 million.9. That is the July 2026 or 2025 on page 61.
I'm going to hand that to the CEO. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah,
it's on page 61.
Yeah. On 2025-26 financial year actual, and the first line is 1st July 2026.
In the table?
Yeah, in the table is
Yes.
92.9. Is it 1st July 2026 or 1st July 2025?
25.
Yeah, okay. That's the first question.
Seeing as we're not there yet.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stop the question.
Thank you. Councillor Keogh, you had your light on a second ago.
Yeah, I presumed Councillor Peter was going to oppose and I was going to second Councillor Busby's motion. That's what I was...
Oh, okay. So you're seconding. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? Councillor Peter, you're opposed. Thank you. Councillor Keogh. Councillor Keogh, would you like to speak? Oh, Councillor Busby, you haven't said anything yet. Thank you.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So I just want to start by, I just want to thank Jason for making himself available for those who could make it this evening to really help us get an understanding of what other councillors are doing. So that was really helpful. So for those councillors who couldn't make it, most councils to date have gone above the 4.8. There was only 2 at 4.5, and all the other councils looked like they were going to go anywhere between, well, I think 5 point something to 6.8, which was interesting. But it's handy for us. I believe it's important for us to know that we're not setting anything unusual here at all by what we're doing. From the last meeting I was at, so I apologise if I missed another update before that, but when we discussed around the table, there seemed to be an acceptance of at least local government cost index. I'm supporting this, whereas I would prefer to support local government cost index plus probably 0.5%, for the reasons that I've always done over the years, that we are a growing council, and going for local government cost index only means we are just covering our costs. We've got our budget, and we're presuming that there's going to be no other issues, no other increases, no other problems, and so to go below it would give us problems, and to stay on it may still give us problems. As I've always said, whoops, we're broken again, are we? No, someone else pressed the button maybe. No, it's just dropping in or out. I don't need it anyway. So I've got a few notes, so sorry if I jump all over the place, but I tried to write some things down which I hope will help. So 4.8% is a minimum. It's to keep our current services and costs as they are right now, which is important. If we drop, it's very interesting to look at the figures. If we drop by 1%, in 7 years that 1% is going to cost us somewhere between 20 plus, if not more, $1 million, because it compounds and we can never get it back. So if we drop below 4.8% now, we may have to go one day, which has happened before with the council, way before my time, but it was significant, 7, 8%, just to catch up because we've got behind. That's not something I'm willing to put on any future resident of the City of Armidale. My children, my grandchildren, your friends, my friends, I'm not willing to support that, to do that. Yeah, 3.8% was interesting because I looked at the figures and that was going to save an extra $25 per year for somebody. Okay, a little bit more for some, a little bit less, we know that. So, but $25. All right. Now, what I've written down here is, since I've been on council, every councillor has asked for something. We've all had things we want for our residents, whether it's upgrade to parks, whether it's footpaths, whether it's roads being fixed, whether it's traffic calming, whether it's just recently we've had our road sweeping to come because people want that. We've had lights, water fountains. So all of those things we're having to find extra money from that's not being put in our budget. So that's not included in the 4.8%. Unless it's in our long-term financial plan, our corporate business plan, our park strategy or something like that where we've got allowances for it, all of those extra things we have to find money for. And that's not allowing for the fact that any price increases that we've not allowed for, we have to find that. The last 3 workshops we've had on new facilities, all of the councillors really said, can we do bigger and can we do better? Can we have more parking? Well, and the answer was no, because it wasn't budgeted for. So if we start cutting back our rates and start cutting back our income, so not only are we risking cutting our services back, we're also saying we're not going to make any allowances that if we wanted to do that increase, we've given it some thought. And we put a little bit of extra aside for it to do it. And if price increases go up, well, we know what the burden of that is. So if we do go below 4.8%, and the 4.8% is exactly right, then we're going to have to stop growth. We're going to have to stop services. We're going to have to cut back services. I do know in the past we have, and we regularly ask our officers, and that's why I don't believe in putting too much further pressure on. We've asked, it's got all orange now, but we've asked our officers regularly at different times, can we do better? Can we save money? Can we outsource, in-source? Can we do that? And I believe that our council does a pretty good job of trying their hardest to actually answer those questions and get better deals where we can. We're always trying to do that. The other comment that's often made when we get to rates is the people can't afford it. Well, I'd like to say inflation says different. You see, inflation says people have money, people are spending money, and they're continuing to spend money. Even with the fuel prices when they went up, we still had the biggest Easter for tourists and the spending of money on fuel and going away and stuff like that than we've ever had. And our unemployment's probably close to low as it's ever been. We're in one of the healthiest times we are in the community. And if we weren't, we wouldn't be spending money and inflation wouldn't be going up. If inflation was low, and unemployment was higher, I'd understand. I'd be saying, well, people are doing it tough. But we're probably in the highest income and in the best place that we've been for a lot of time. I don't personally know too many people, apart from those that aren't well, who are complaining to me about money. They're actually saying to them it's the best time they can remember, especially with their property prices. The other thing I believe too, which is important, is, and I'm passionate about this, 100% of our rates are for our city, for our residents. We don't collect anything and send it off to somebody else. So we know when we're, collecting, we're saying we're going to hopefully make your community better. Hopefully we're going to make where you live a better place to live. And we try and do that all the time. I love it. We're not funding other councils. We're not collecting rates and giving it to someone else. We're not collecting rates and giving it to other states. Everything we do is for our residents, for our community. And that's pretty important. I wish I could do the same. I was talking to Councillor Mosey today. I wish we could say the same about our tax bills. I don't know where it goes. I know my GST doesn't all come to WA. Well, I know my rates do. We're also, I just want to remind councillors, we're a growing council, and it's really important that we need to plan for that, continue to plan for that. We've got new estates growing all the time, and we need to be prepared to have that, I wouldn't say a buffer, but it's nice to have the buffer, or to know that, hey, we're in trouble, we're struggling with our loans, we can't borrow more to do the new. We want to make sure that as we build a new estate, we can do what needs to be done on our part, and we need funds to do that. And then I'm going to pat our previous council, which, previous council is not everyone here, but many years ago, we made a decision as a council to do local government cost index plus 1%. Interest rates were higher than they are now. Times were tougher than they were higher now. But we believed as a council then, the growth that we were having and still having now, we needed to be wise and prepare for that. And it was that, a good part of that extra 1% we did for probably 3 or 4 years that covered us over COVID. That was some of the reserves we had to actually be able to do a 0% and a 1% rate over those 2 years. Now, I still believe, looking at the figures Jason showed us today, that 0% and 1% has cost the council $26 or $7 million. Jason can give you the exact figures, but that was looking at the report that we were able to have a look at. Significant money, and I believe we did a really wise thing as a council. So I'm encouraging as a council, if somebody decides to vote against this, increase it by 0.5%, I'd support it. Because I believe it's really important to have a buffer, but there seems to be quite a lot of discussion about rates this year. So as long as we can cover what it's going to cost us and what we believe cost increase is going to be, and we don't have to stop services, I think that's important, and I'm strongly supporting this as a minimum. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Busby. Councillor Keogh, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Councillor Busby has already iterated, but just to clarify, I guess, or add on to that, very much concerned about the rising costs of service with inflation, of course. Earlier on this month, we had the federal budget, and where the Treasury was forecasting inflation to, of course, increase and go to a further 5% later on down the track. But ultimately, we don't know where that will end up. It could be even higher than that. And of course, as mentioned, we base our LGCI in working out where we should be. So obviously we've landed at 4.8% as a minimum, and I do really want to stress that should be seen as a minimum, because obviously we do then need to be thinking about cutting what we would be giving to our community and what our services would be. Unfortunately, a lot of this is out of our control. Of course, we as a council, I believe us as a council would love to have as much of and as little as an increase as possible, but just due to the nature of our global economy, we're all interconnected, and we are unfortunately suffering the consequences of many things that are just completely outside of our control. And so I think that we probably should be entertaining the idea that we actually go above the 4.8%. I know that most LGAs around our area are very much above that 5% and are preparing or mindful that it could be a lot worse, and that we do have, of course, a lot of increases with our costs. With oil, fertiliser, road, construction. It's a heated market, and as Councillor Busby was saying, it's a healthy, robust, exploding market, which means that we do face these increases in costs. So we are just a player in that space that we need to recognise, I guess, quite prudently. If we were to then go lower than that, then of course we'd have to be considering what would be postponing or cancelling, and I recognise that we are one of the fastest growing LGAs in the country. We are part of the National Growth Alliance network, and that's for a reason, because we've just got the city just growing so much. And in order to do that, we need to build new pavilions, we need to provide for money to go towards the upkeep of our various facilities. If we don't go to 4.8, it limits our ability to absorb any economic shocks in the future. And so that's why I'm actually mindful, and I do share Councillor Busby's sentiment that should people perhaps consider going to 5.5%, then that might be worth considering. We're in very difficult times. We don't know what will happen in the future, and I think it's definitely better safe than sorry. Recognising as well in our information that we had through Council tonight, we're 1.2% below LGCI from last financial year. So we're already a little bit behind in that space. We have no idea how bad it could be going forward if we were to do 4.8 or lower than 4.8. This decision tonight does not need to lock us in as well. Just want to remind councillors of that this is just a signal to our community as where our minds are at and our intention. So this doesn't necessarily need to mean that we, of course, are on this particular area tonight, but of course, as I said, it does signal to our community what we're thinking. So I think it's a good idea for us to be mindful of being a little bit more broad with our views as to what it should be. Bearing that in mind, recognising that, of course, we've still got other things that many councils are fighting for across the city, we're very interested, should perhaps Councillor Busby be interested in considering changing it to 5.5, but at the very least I'll be supporting 4.8, and I would foreshadow that should this not go through, that I'll be moving that we have a 5.5% as our percentage rate increase. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. Councillor Peter, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First, if this motion failed, I would like to, and Councillor Keogh's motion failed, I would like to shadow the rate increase by 3%. I would like to move a shadow motion by 3% increase. That's my first point. Madam Mayor, we're talking about the cost index and the LGCI and CPI. Everybody is talking about the price increase. Now, as per the April briefing, I agree that 4.8% is the expected local government cost index. That is only the last quarter index. It's compared to the last 12 months. If you're looking at the long-term LGCI or CPI, it is between 2.5 and 3.5%. The current 4.8% it is because of the fuel price and the house price. That are the two main factors affecting the CPI. And the fuel price is going down now. You want off the mic? The fuel price is almost cooling down and is almost normal. And the house price, now we have a federal budget. They are going to affecting the house market. The house price will be down. That means the two main factors affecting the CPI is going to be normalized now. So in this next year, this time, the CPI will be between 3 or less than 3%. And we're talking about I am well aware we need to run the business. There is no question about that. But the main question, how the ratepayer is going to pay the 5% increase? That is a fundamental question. If we are running a business, okay, 4% or 5% increase is the business need to run it. But how the residents is going to pay it? The wage is going negatively because CPI 4.8%, the wage growth is maybe 3%. The main question John Keogh asked, Councillor Keogh asked, how are we going to cut the service? The same question I need to ask, how the residents going to cut their living cost? That's a fundamental question. So as a local government, if there is a problem, I understand the CPI and LGCI is very high, this is a time we need to support our residents. But historically, if you're looking at the last 4 to 5 years' time, our local government, our city of Hamilton have between 1 to 3 million surplus. We have 1 to 3 million surplus, and our executive director called it a one-time surplus. I agree that point. It's a one-time. That is called a surplus. And this financial 2025, we have more than 2 million surplus. 1 million, that's a one-time surplus from the growth budget we allocate to the Morgan Park. And also we have a 1.1 million surplus that we allocate in different projects. The city has the surplus, that's a fact. And I think this is the time we need to help our residents because of the cost crisis. City have the cost crisis the same time the residents have. I got many calls before the budget. People say, oh, how many percent are you going to raise the increase? Can we get only 1% increase? 2%? I got a message already. I told them, this is not my decision, it's council decision. So there will be a budget discussion now. It's going to be coming soon. The people can raise their voice. So the residents already concerned about the rate increase. And Madam Mayor, we're talking about City of Armadale and other major councils. If we're looking at the average rate in the Perth Metro and City of Armadale is highest by $250. The average rate. We are higher than $250 from the average metro rate. So people in the City of Armadale is paying high rates. There is no question about it. That's a fact. I think that is the reason I am moving a shadow motion 3%, and I am not supporting 4.8%. I think this is a time to help our residents, and I hope I can move the amendment now. So that is the reason I am opposing the current motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Peter. Is there anyone to speak for the motion? Anyone to speak against the motion? I might just make a comment, a couple of comments, just picking up on some of the things that have been said. And I will note that Councillor Peter, and sometimes it's difficult not to think about CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index. We in local government use the Local Government Cost Index, which is different, and it is higher traditionally than the CPI. So we can't really compare the two because the business that we're in uses specific things, and housing costs are not one of the things that we can put into our business when we're looking at setting rates. So if housing costs go up or down, it might affect our residents and their investment in their properties. However, for us, it doesn't factor into the goods and services that we provide. So looking at house prices and interest rates is not something that we should be looking at as far as setting rates, because it doesn't come into that equation. Local Government Cost Index does, on the other hand, cover goods and services, and I think that some of the services, the goods that a lot of the goods that we're using at the moment, like petrochemicals, are being affected significantly, and to keep us level, we need the 4.8 to keep us at the same level of service and the same rubbish trucks driving for that distance, etc., and our parks teams going out. So I'd be inclined to support the 4.8 as the officers have suggested in the report. I do understand that councillors have the idea that we need a bit more of a buffer, which would then, and we've got foreshadowed motions should this one fail, that alternately go down or up. So it's, I know that a lot of us have different ideas. So my main concern is not going any lower than 4.8, because if we go lower than 4.8, we will affect our standing, let me see, with our financial health indicator, and that will in future affect our borrowing capacity. It gets reported to Parliament. The auditors look at it, and I think that it's one thing that because of the the valuation, depreciation that we've had, our financial health indicator is looking pretty sad at the moment. So we're going to have to do some work during the long-term financial plan, which will begin after we set the budget, to get our financial health indicator back to where it has been in the past. So if we're thinking about going any lower than 4.8, we will seriously affect that ratio. And when the government and Treasury use that ratio to determine the health of our local government. Now, with the Minister looking at amalgamations and dysfunction, they are also looking at the capacity of local governments to remain financially viable. So our financial viability is very important, and that is indicated by that financial health indicator. So I would be very loath to see us go any lower than 4.8%, but understanding that our community are experiencing the same cost pressures that we are with fuel, etc. So to have the balance there, I think that 4.8 is as low as we can go, and I think it's actually a decent compromise as put forward in the officer's report. So with those comments, I will ask who's the mover of the motion? Councillor Busby. Councillor Mosey. I did ask if anybody else had any comments, and nobody else did. So I exercised my right to have the last say. I'm just going to ask the CEO something. I guess given that it's an important topic and we've got people who've now thought that perhaps they might like to say something, I will accept people speaking. So if I spoke for the motion, is there anyone to speak against the motion? Anyone to speak for the motion? Sorry, I don't know what your, if you could make some movement indicating which way you would like to speak, it would be great, because we are in debate.
I understand that. I have a procedural question.
Sure.
Is the expectation that you just put your light on, or you have to stand up when you want to speak? Because twice now Councillor Sargison has had his light on when you've asked and you haven't acknowledged. So should he be jumping up as well and sort of catching your eye? Because so that's all I had was a procedural.
Right, thanks. Given that the microphones are going on and off terribly tonight, I think it would be better if you put it on and then wave at me. Great, thank you. Sorry about that, Councillor Sargison. So, Councillor Mosey, can I just get this straight, that you are not wanting to speak at this point?
At this point.
Thank you. Councillor Sargison, would you like to speak against?
No, I'd like to speak in support of Councillor Busby with a statement, please.
Okay, well, we're not quite there yet, so I'm asking if people want to speak against the motion at this stage. Is there anyone to speak against the motion? Councillor Jorgensen.
I would very briefly like to speak against the motion purely to support the foreshadow that we go higher. I think realistically sticking with the status quo and not having a growth mindset is doing a disservice to our residents. And anybody that has that attitude is honestly, maybe should reconsider very strongly. We'll just use those terms.
Thank you, Councillor Jorgensen. Councillor Sargison, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to mention one little thing here, that I totally agree with Councillor Busby to begin with, but the residents are not going to see it that way. They'll see a buffer there, which we may or may not use. Every year we get a buffer, a little bit extra, a little bit extra, a little bit extra. Although all those little bit of accumulative extras, will they get a year where there's no rate rise? That will be a question from the resident. All those buffers, nothing at the end of it because we don't see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone to speak against the motion? Anyone speak for the motion? Are we all done? I feel like we're at an auction. Just noting that this is to send it out to advertising, so we will get feedback from the community. Councillor Busby, then I'm going to ask you to wrap up, please.
Press the button because it doesn't work. Turns orange. Look, red. And that will feel like a neutral or that turned on. So, thanks, Madam Mayor. I just want to not sum her up because I've already made my debate. So, I do want to make a point which I forgot to mention earlier on. If we only did local government cost index every year I was on council, we wouldn't have Central Park now to start with. We would have Central Car Park and it would be a gravel patch. So, because we wouldn't have the money for it. We probably wouldn't have had the extra complete borrowing money for it either and the ability to pay for it. So, if we only do local government cost index, we don't get opportunity for anything like that in the future. And Councillor Peter mentioned 3%. I would like to ask the ED of Corporate Services exactly the dollars, but my rough maths tells me with a dropping of 1.8% of what we budget for, that's $2.2 million a year. So over the next 10 years compounded, we're talking $30 million that this council will not have to put into community infrastructure, community growth, community plans, things that we want to, extra things we want to do. When we want to do traffic calming, we want to do all sorts of things. We don't budget for that. We haven't budgeted. And again, guys, I say this regularly and I'm never going to apologise it. We all pick on the local government because we're the ones who are next to our residents, living with our residents every day, day by day. We always pick on local government. Let's keep the rates down. Let us take the burden of saving you $50 a year or $70 a year. Actually, looking at what Councillor Peter's doing, 1.8%. I think that was, I did write it down earlier on, I think it's either $25 or $36. That's it. On average per year, $36. 5 cups of coffee. I always go back to my coffee because I can't think of anything else. Someone else it might be a Big Mac. Someone else it might be a nice and cold ice cream for one of your kids. But we always go after local government. We always have done because we are willing to look our residents in the eye and say, this is what we do and this is what you get for it. My electricity prices have gone up. I've got nowhere to fight for that. My gas prices have gone up. Registration of my vehicle's gone up. I can't fight for that. ESL, emergency service level, has gone up on our thing by 5%. That's for our community that we don't get a say on, but it's going up. Yet we want to say, hey, we're going to put our hand up. We'll save you at least $25, $30, $50 maybe. You know, we'll take it, but we are going to have to do something. We're going to have to take something away because we don't have it. You know, we haven't covered our costs, so we can't give you more. You know, we have to make the policy as councillors. We've got to stop asking for more if we're not going to have the ability to pay for it. You know, simple as that. If I want to spend $100,000 in the Minowara ward and I'm going to say I'm not going to support rates to actually cover that, I need to stop asking for that because it's just not going to work. And just wanted to make a comment on what Councillor Sargison said. What's interesting is in our budget, we don't budget for a buffer. We budget to cover costs. We've only been lucky enough over some of the years to have a buffer is because the housing growth was a little bit more than we planned for because we tried to be conservative, not over the top. There is a risk at any time that if the fuel prices continue, people will hold back on building, the buildings will take longer to come, and instead of getting a buffer, we'll actually get less, and we could still be behind in the rate increase. So, you know, councillors, I'd ask you to support 5.5. So if you want to support 5.5, vote against this, and then support Councillor Keogh. But if you're happy with a balance of at least covering our costs, then support this one. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Busby. So Councillor Busby has moved the recommendation on page 72, which includes the figures predicated on a 4.8% rate rise. So I will have all those in favour. Please raise your hands. Thank you. All those against? Thank you. That motion is carried. Thank you, councillors. Page 73, 1.2, Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee, with recommendation coming on page 77. Councillor Mosey, thank you for your interpretive dance. I did see you.
Yeah, I would actually like to discuss probably what would be part of the confidential section of this item, so I'm wondering if we can defer it to that section of the agenda, please.
Certainly. Okay, we will push that one to the confidential items, and that brings us to 1.3, Councillor Information Bulletin issue number 7 of 2026. Can I have a mover for that? Sorry, Councillor Peter, thank you, has moved. And waving works. Councillor Busby, you've got your light on. Would you like to speak? It won't turn off. Okay, yeah, we are having issues with lights. Great. Is there anyone opposed to receiving the information bulletin? If not, thank you, that's carried. And that takes us back to the beginning of the agenda. And we have motions of which previous notice have been given, and there isn't any, so we'll move on to urgent business approved by the person presiding or by decision, and there is none. Matters for referral to standing committees without discussion, is there any? Yes. Councillor Sargison. Thank you, Councillor Sargison. That doesn't sound like a... It sounds like a referral item, but it sounds more like a memo style that you require. Anyway, we'll move on to matters requiring confidential consideration. So now we go back to the back of the agenda. We have a public part. So is there any discussion or questions from the agenda that is not involved in the confidential section? Or are we going straight behind closed doors to discuss the confidential? I'm in your hands, Councillor Mosey. You wanted to move it.
Well, I didn't want to move it. I wanted to discuss it. I'll move it in the agenda, you mean?
Yes, I do.
Right, sorry, yes. I'm not sure which part would be considered confidential, so I'd rather just go behind. So could I move that we go behind closed doors?
Certainly.
Now for the...
Thank you. Councillor Mosey has moved that we go behind closed doors to discuss the confidential item. Is there anyone opposed? No one's opposed. Thank you. That's carried. And I'll ask someone to shut the doors. And we'll just wait until live streaming has ceased. Thank you. I understand that live streaming has begun, so we will look at the beginning of this item, which is called 1.2 Audit and Risk Improvement Committee. Councillor, and the recommendation is on page 77. We do require an absolute majority. Councillor Mosey, you're on your feet.
Yes, I would like to move a slight alternative motion, and it would simply be a change at point 4 to appoint candidate C, candidate B, but not candidate A. And then that would, of course, mean a change to the terms of reference if that passes.
Thank you, Councillor Mosey. Councillor Mosey has moved a slight change to the recommendation to remove candidate A from the list of candidate positions. Is there anyone opposed?
Question, Councillor Mosey, just on the
Not
change.
Councillor Mosey.
On Councillor Mosey's change, is there an intention to remove the role of the Deputy President rather than just not appoint a candidate?
Through the Chair, that would be my understanding, is that the terms of reference would be amended to remove the independent deputy presiding member.
We've got nodding from Councillor Mosey, so I'm gathering that yes, that is the case. With that explanation from the CEO. So, sorry, again, do I have anyone opposed? So, Councillor Stoneham, you're opposed? Yes? Okay. Councillor Busby has seconded. Thank you very much. Councillor Mosey, would you like to speak? Have you already spoken?
Yeah, I'm comfortable that what we spoke about
Okay,
close
thank
sources is
you.
enough. I don't need to spend any more.
Yep. Councillor Busby, would you like to speak?
Just very quickly, people need to be there. So to have a deputy to the deputy is really unusual. We don't see that too often at all, and it's not necessarily. There may be an idea here and there, but I agree with Councillor Mosey. We don't need that. If we've got a presiding member and then a deputy presiding member, I think we're pretty well covered. It's going to be very, very unfortunate if out of 4 to 6 meetings a year, one of those two won't be able to be there. And for 3 people, and one of them who's not on the books, so to speak, learning all of our audit stuff and reading everything and maybe even turning up just to listen, I'm not sure that would happen. So I'm happy to support that.
Thank you. Is there anyone to speak against the motion? Oh, sorry. That was you. You're speaking against the motion.
I get it. It's
sorry,
okay.
Councillor Stoneham.
I'm a little bit confused about this myself. However, I'm a bit of a belt and braces type person, and I think that to have a second person in the room with the presiding member, so that if the presiding member cannot therefore attend the next meeting, that the other person has a flow on, I think that's a prudent thing to do for the sake of potentially $5,000 a year, to just have that continuity, and that somebody to be able to oversee adequately and professionally and efficiently, I think is worth it, than to have a disparate view or opinion or something coming in and making the meeting go longer and blah, blah, blah. So my view would be to follow the officer's recommendation. They've obviously thought about this in quite a lot of detail, and given the complexity of the legislation, I'm inclined to go with their recommendation, because I'm not a lawyer, but I do manage people and I like to have all my bases covered.
Thank you very much, Councillor Stoneham. Do I have anyone to speak for the motion? Anyone against? I'll put the motion. All those... Sorry. Oh, does he? Councillor Mosey, would you like to wrap up?
I would, really quickly. I suppose we just spent a fair bit of time debating rates. I think any opportunity to save our residents and ratepayers money we should look at seriously. and that's an opportunity we have here. And also, they only make one. They're one of 7, or it'd be 2 of 8. I don't think that, saying that we won't have the continuity, all the councillors will still be there. We used to chair this meeting ourselves right up until when this AREC is formed. So I don't think we have any concerns in that regard either. So I would seek your support in this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Mosey. I'll put the motion now. All those in favour? All those against? Thank you, councillors. The motion is 1, and an absolute majority has been reached. That takes us back to the beginning of the agenda, which I think we only have closure, and so I will close the meeting at whatever. Oops. 8:32. Thanks very much, everybody. No, we did that. We're all done. Close the meeting. Thank you very much, councillors.